We are live on Yonkers Voice, and today we are going to be talking about the judicial system in our country, more specifically in Yonkers. We have April, the mom of a young man who was involved in a shooting on St. John's here in Yonkers, and we have Mr. Donald Curtis, who is the representative of an organization that is nationwide. So thank you for taking the time. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is April Lowry. I am the mother of Daquan Johnson and DeAndre Phillips, who was wrongfully accused for a shooting that took place in Yonkers in January of 2023.
Donald?
My name is Mr. Donald Curtis, Executive Director at the Unified Black Caucus, based in New York City, but we're a nationwide social justice organization, and we're advocates for the family here.
Now, when we say wrongly accused, let's explain, because your sons, they were convicted. Why do you think they were wrongly convicted if the jury heard the case and saw the evidence against them?
Well, my children were wrongly convicted from the start to the finish and were silenced by the courts. It went wrong from the sloppy investigation that was conducted by the Yonkers Police Department. That's where it started at. My sons are not the ones who shot the young man. The young man did get shot. He tried to tell the courts, he tried to tell the police that it was not my children, but they silenced my children and still railroaded them.
Donald, you're very familiar with the case, and I'm sure that you are involved in other cases similar to this. Normally in an investigation, fingerprints are done, police talks to witnesses. Why would they come to that conclusion based on wrong information? Can you articulate?
Well, it is our understanding that there was an incident in front of a building that is a multiple dwelling building. More than one tenant lives in the building. One of her sons, which one was it? DeAndre was there in that area to sell some clothing that he had from a clothing line, a clothing brand. We understand that this young man that was shot came out and wanted him away from the premises, even though he don't own the premises. We do understand that the man was under the influence of something, maybe drugs or alcohol or whatever, the victim that was shot. There was an altercation. None of this is recorded on video footage of cameras or anything, but there was an altercation. And during the altercation, another person got involved, I guess, to break it up or stop it, because it was the brother of the brother that was in the altercation. It is alleged that it was a gunshot. Somebody was shot. We don't know who shot. We don't know whether the victim himself had the gun, and the gun went off. Like in the case of Tupac Shakur, when he was robbed in Midtown Manhattan, he had a gun on himself, and he actually shot himself in the groin area, reaching for his gun. So we don't know that the victim didn't have the gun. We know that the brothers didn't have a gun at all. We know that a gun was never recovered from the scene, and the scene is where the victim lived. The brothers have no way. The police canvassed the area. They didn't find a gun. And they should have never been prosecuted for a gun charge, shooting of anything, because there's no footage of it on video cameras and there's no proof. You do have the witness saying one thing under the influence of either drugs or alcohol, who later recanted in an affidavit and with the private investigator, which the court is aware of that, but they disregarded it. And instead of calling him in to have a fact-finding hearing and the brothers be present, the judge in the case instead issues an order of protection for the witness, who haven't even requested it from the brothers that were arrested for this. So there's a whole convolutedness about this case that doesn't make sense. And a lot of times when the crimes and black or brown people are involved, the police have a rush to judgment to close the case for whatever reasons. The district attorneys like to close cases, and a lot of times they get the wrong people because they are rushing to close the case. It may not have been popular in that area. It may not have been popular for the district attorney sitting at the time. But we know that these brothers did not have a weapon. there. They did not leave with a weapon. They did not conceal a weapon. We know that the victim was shot, but no one knows who shot the victim.
And no weapon was ever recovered.
No weapon was ever recovered.
Your understanding?
No weapon was ever recovered, to my understanding, and there's no video footage. Like in New York, every inch of New York, even in the building and staircases, is covered by video cameras. There's no video footage of this. We understand that the police somehow traced these two brothers to a vehicle that was in the area, traced the license plate. Based on that, if they were in the area, they had to do the crime. That just makes
I'm
no
sure
sense.
there was a lot of people in the area.
Well, from my understanding, it wasn't. It was the people that were in the area. If it was a lot of people in the area,
Ashburton and St. John's, it's a highly populated area.
but at the time of the incident,
It was during the day.
nobody was there, but the three people involved, the victim, the two brothers, and some African American female that came down to see what the commotion was in front of the building. But there are no other witnesses. The police have none, other than the victim's statement under the influence that he was in a fight with these two brothers. They termed, since he was in a fight with these two brothers, that they had to be the one to shoot him. We know for a fact that this victim admitted to the private investigators that he has a long history of
We're going to
arrest
get there.
and incarceration.
We're going to get there because, we're going to make sure that people understand the exact scope of this. Now, when the witness, the female, came down, the shooting had not happened yet. There was just an argument, correct?
This is what we are told,
Yeah.
that the female came down and observed what was going on. It's not said that she said anything. Nobody knows that. We know that she came down with some kind of black bag in her hand. It could have been a purse. It could have been some other kind of bag. It's never been out. This witness, this female witness, has never been interviewed by the police or anybody, the district attorney, the police, anybody. So that's a witness that could have proved that the brothers didn't do the shooting, that could have proved that somebody else actually did the shooting and probably left the scene.
Now, Donald, do we know that for a fact?
We know for a fact that a female did come down.
That the police did not interview that
We know
witness?
that for a fact. Her name is not anywhere in any reports.
And you forward all the reports in connection with this alleged crime, with these crimes?
I've read every document concerning this
And
case.
no name of a female witness that came
Nothing
down.
about a female witness.
Now, the female witness, she knew the two brothers and she knew the victim?
No, we're not saying that the female that came down knew the brothers because the brothers didn't know her. We're saying is that the female lived in that dwelling and so did the victim. That's where they lived, in a multi-family dwelling with maybe 3 or 4 apartments in this one building. They lived there, the brothers didn't.
Now, I saw the video of the interview between the investigator, I don't know if it's your investigator, and the alleged witness, the victim. Tell us a little bit about that investigator and about the victim. Where is he now? What happened? Tell us, give us a little back story on him.
Okay, the victim and met with the investigator, and this was recorded, and he clearly says at the time he was questioned by the police, they presented to him a photo array with numerous black males in this photo array. What's particularly interesting about this is that he noted that the two brothers' photos had exclamation marks on their photos. No other photos in the photo array had exclamation marks. The police he said that the police coerced him to pick the two brothers, hence why they had the quotation marks on their photos only and none others. Okay, that victim is now deceased, died by violent means in the Bronx on White Plains Road. He was stabbed, I believe, 2 weeks ago. I seen the footage on the news. At the time, I didn't know it was the victim, though I did know his name, and I didn't put it together later, but he was murdered. That victim also admitted to the private investigator that he has a long history of arrests, incarceration, and crime. It's the type of life he lived. He died by violent means. These brothers, on the other hand, don't have a history of that.
No records? Your kids don't have any
Nothing.
records?
Nothing. But the victim did. And so there's something mysterious about this whole thing with how the police wants to pick these two brothers, but like come to the aid of a victim who is a known felon to them, involved in numerous crimes, admittedly himself saying it.
Well, in defense of the police, when they investigate a crime, I don't think they care if the person has a history or not. Just because you have a history does not mean that you are innocent of that specific case that they are investigating. So they had to investigate, correct?
Well, I respectfully disagree with like that. The police, when it comes to black and brown and poor white people that are involved in burglaries and so forth, the police, the first question they ask, are you on parole? I can show you many. Are you on parole? They've already prejudged you that you are a criminal by asking you that question. They have no right to even ask you that question. Are you on parole? They have already assumed that you're a criminal. So the police...
Because of what?
Because of the question that they asked, are you on parole?
But why
do you have any warrants out on you? These questions should never be asked.
What I'm asking is, you think if the person was a Caucasian, those questions would not be asked?
I don't think those questions would be asked if the Caucasian person was the victim. I don't think the question would be asked. I could show you plenty of footage of Caucasians and then not ask this question, but I could show you plenty with black, especially Latino and Hispanic males and females. That first question is asked, do you have any warrants or are you on parole? It shouldn't be asked because that identifies you as a criminal element. That question should never be asked.
We talk about the victim. They ask the victim that question. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm not saying they asked the victim that question. What I'm saying is the police, in this case, is making it a point to protect, hide, and cover up and give protection to somebody who is an admitted criminal. He admitted it, that he's a criminal. He died by violent means. His whole life was involved in violent, illegal activities, which he admitted himself on tape. Yes, I bragged about it. I've been in jail 5 or 6 times. So this is a career criminal that's bragging about it. When do we see the police go to all these efforts to convict 2 brothers when there's no footage and no witness but the victim, and they have no record and he has a record? As soon as they ran his name, they know every record that he has because he comes up on the car. Why then go to all these lengths to get a conviction for this guy against these 2 brothers who have no record?
Why you think that is?
Well,
because both sides, victim and suspects, both brown people.
They're brown people, yes. Here's the thing. How do we know that the police department or people in the police department don't have a grudge against these 2 brothers?
Exactly.
These brothers are very prominent, outspoken, they into music and entertainment, and we know for a fact that the police department got intelligence units just to investigate and follow and tailgate rappers. These 2 brothers do music. They're rap artists. Every unit in New York City, police unit, intelligence unit. So how do we know that the police don't want these brothers off the street? For whatever reason. They may not like their music. They may think it's influencing criminality or gang activity, which they have no proof that these brothers have been involved in that. But why target these 2 brothers who have no records? Why not look for the guy that has a long history of records and bragging about it and is proud of it, to put these 2 brothers in jail for that? How do we know that the victim didn't shoot himself with his own gun? The brothers weren't home. They were away from home. They didn't know the area like that to be stashing guns, a stash house, or this and that. Why hasn't the gun been recovered if they were the shooters? They didn't leave the scene.
Was the victim also found at the scene?
The victim was at the scene. The victim was at the scene. But the brothers left the scene later, but they were traced to a license plate on the car of one of the brothers.
But they couldn't
how do people drive by the street every day? Why we don't have other cars' license plates? I believe that these 2 brothers were targeted for reasons that we haven't discovered yet, that we may not discover for 50 years. But there's something fishy about this whole thing that doesn't smell right, that the police went to the extreme to convict these 2 brothers for a noted braggart about his criminal activities. When did the police start protecting criminals, admitted criminals?
But Donald, we don't know if the police is protecting criminals. We are making an assumption, but we have no facts. Or do you have facts?
No,
because right now I'm hearing assumptions. You assume these, and we assume that. But do we have facts?
No, I'm not assuming. I'm speaking on facts. The facts is that the police in America, all across in every city, including Yonkers, when it comes to black and brown, they target us. It's a target. It doesn't matter different that it was Dequan and Deion. It doesn't make a difference that it was these two. It could have been somebody else. But what's on the favor and on the side of these two brothers is that they have no criminal records, is that they weren't out in gangs, is that they weren't selling drugs, is that they weren't trying to burglarize anything. Why pick two brothers with stellar, clean records to convict for this incident, which the victim himself started by threatening them? Nobody's talking about that. They were minding the brother was minding his business, not saying anything. The victim came out of that dwelling and threatened the brother and told him, I want you off this property. He doesn't have the right to do that because he doesn't own the sidewalk. It's public egress. Okay, so they get in a tussle. He has a right to tussle with the victim because the victim threatened him. He doesn't know him from a hole in the wall. He doesn't know whether they have a gun or knife, so he defends himself. The brother comes along, the other brother in a vehicle, and sees this and tries to stop it, to break it up. In the melee, this is what we are told, a gunshot went off and the victim was shot. But nobody's talking about the victim is the one that made the threat to the brother who was bothering nobody. That's very important.
Now, is it possible that the woman that came down gave the police information on who were the two brothers, or maybe saw the car, or gave the information about the vehicle? Maybe another witness that from a window saw the car leaving the scene. Because look, somebody had to tell the police which car it was. And it happens that the people in that car were the people that were involved in that scuffle between the victim and the brothers. So somebody had to give the plates of that vehicle. Because otherwise, no?
Wrong. That's not what happened.
I'm asking so you can articulate and tell exactly what you think it happened.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
No, I'm not going to say what I think happened. I'm going to say what happened, factual. What we're speaking here today is facts from the records. The police discovered the plates from video footage of a camera of the plates of that car. Not one witness identified these brothers. Not one witness identified the car. The police themselves admit that we found the car from camera footage on the street, and we've traced that license plate. That license plate led to one of the brothers, which led to both brothers. Okay. No witnesses ever told them, and if they did, if they gave them information favorable to the brothers, that information has never been turned over or included in any of the court proceedings. Why? Why wasn't the female questioned that came downstairs with a bag? Could she have been a girlfriend of the victim? Could she have had a gun in there? She was never questioned. And if she was, and it was favorable to the brothers, like I said, that paperwork has never been submitted, ever, to this day. The police discovered the car by cameras, not from a person.
Legal representation during discovery, the attorneys never asked for the evidence. What evidence does the police have? None of that came.
They sealed that. All of that was sealed. We didn't get the information on my children's case till well after the trial started. We didn't get the information till well after the trial had started. They didn't know what was on their paperwork. It was, and that's on the transcript too. It's on the record. It was dropped on there in front of them 4 days into the trial.
Let me explain something to you. The police and the district attorney's office and the court, all in collusion, did everything they could to keep the victim from showing up in court to tell them that these two brothers didn't shoot me. The court kept harassing him and threatening him, giving him order of protection, which he didn't request, and he wanted to come to court. Guess what? They wouldn't let him come to court and take the stand and say that these brothers did not shoot him, that the police coerced him to pick their photos. See, they're not telling you that, though. The media's not saying that, but this is what happened. They kept the victim from coming to court to clear the brothers. The court itself.
Now, I saw the video that the victim is talking to the investigator. And he's saying on the video that certain things that he found out after the trial, that he wasn't aware that, and he couldn't identify actually your sons. Did I understand that wrong, or that's you want to articulate?
Sir, you're very intelligent, and I wear glasses and you wear glasses, so we could see. You are absolutely correct. He said that these brothers clearly and articulated that they had nothing to do with him being shot, that they didn't even have an altercation with him. He's saying everything that would clear him, them, the brothers. The police and the district attorney and the judge in the court refused to let this favorable testimony appear in court with this victim saying it. They did everything they could to keep the victim. They harassed the court, and the district attorney and police harassed the victim so much that he was scared for his own safety from them, because they wanted him to say that these two brothers did it. This is from his own words, the same video that you saw. Now, if I get a video like that and I'm a person in authority, I would take that video footage straight to the district attorney's office. It was done. Straight to the judge. It was done. Straight to the police. It was done. But no action of positive to help these brothers with that information from the victim himself was ever used by the court, was ever allowed to even be heard by the jury.
Excluded.
It was excluded. And then they put an order of protection for the victim against the brothers who had no problem with the victim. And the victim said, I have no problem with them. Why did they put an order of protection? The judge wanted to keep them out of the court and wanted to keep him out of the court. And that affidavit and that true testimony, he said that those photographs were designated with quotation marks, exclamation points, I believe, only of the two brothers. Why haven't they presented that photo array in court where the exclamation marks? Because they probably wiped it off. This was a rush to judgment. This was a rush to get these two brothers. We don't know the underlying reason why they went after these two brothers who don't have a criminal record, who are not out robbing, who are not out selling drugs, who are not out doing anything but making a living and making music and selling brand clothing. They chose them.
Have you tried to speak to the attorney, to the DA, Westchester County DA, and try to have the case reopened?
I've spoken to the district attorney's office. We're going to have a meeting with them. I've spoken to the Yonkers office, but they want us to meet with the White Plains office, the main office, concerning this particular case. They don't have a wrongful conviction unit, but they do have a unit that you could file complaints about wrongful convictions. Okay? This stuff has never been presented to them, so they got a one standard form. We don't want that. We don't want a one standard paper. No, we're coming in, we're going to sit down and we're going to go over this whole case and see if we can get it overturned. The district attorney in every court and county in New York State and the city has the authority to submit a motion. I believe it's a 440.30 or something along those lines, a 440.10 in that long line, 30, 20 on down. And they present this to the court, and they take the conviction away just by that motion, and the judge grants the district attorney the motion. That's what we are trying to do, because the district attorney get that motion granted, then the conviction is overturned and they're released.
Now, you know that we are doing this, and this is live, and people are asking questions. I have a question here that says, if it's found out that this was a malicious prosecution, wrong investigation that led to the conviction of your kids, what would you like to see?
I want my children to come home so that they can continue their lives and be with their families. They have families that they were taken away from. They have children. My son's daughter, she suffers from seizures. My other son's daughter is autistic. I want my children to come home so they can be back joined with our family. That's it.
Should those responsible for the malicious prosecution be prosecuted and held accountable?
Yeah, they should. Everyone who thinks that they're above the law should be prosecuted, because what they did was wrong. Yes. No one's above the law.
Do you think that the Yonkers Police Department did wrong intentionally, or they had good intentions to investigate, but on purpose, for whatever reasons, Donald is saying they decided that okay, we have to find somebody guilty. We have to find somebody responsible, and these two going to be it.
Yeah, the way I feel like the Yonkers Police Department, they always targeted my children. That's
Always?
what I
What
felt.
do you mean by always?
They always targeted my children. There was times when they were pulled over just from driving for no reason. It's, this is Yonkers. It's very small. Everybody knows everybody here. When my son throws a party with his entertainment company, he brings out the whole town. My son is very, very respected in the city of Yonkers. Everybody knows my son.
I know your son.
Okay, yeah. So what's the issue? Why did I would like to ask the police department, why did they convict my children? That license plates that we spoke about, they didn't even see the numbers on the license plates.
Well, the police didn't convict your children. The jury did, right?
Yeah.
They went to a jury trial?
They were silenced. Yeah, they were silenced.
Yes, the police didn't convict them, but the police manufactured the paperwork that led to the conviction. You can't get to the district attorney in the court without getting the police, because they compiled all the paperwork. It first goes to the police, they file a felony complaint, then it goes to the court and the district attorney. It starts here.
I understand. The police does the investigation, and then they present that investigation to the jury, and the jury finds guilty or not guilty based on the evidence that the police presents.
Presented by the police, put together by the police, and put forth to the jury by an assistant district attorney.
That did not consist of but one peer, one African American.
The jury.
Yeah, the jury, if I could say that.
We have to start facing the reality. And the reality is that this may be Yonkers. It may have 200 and some thousand people.
15, 20.
Yes, in this city.
Yes.
But Yonkers Police Department is in the news a lot for heavy-handedness, violating civil rights of those they suspect of crimes, or even those that standing on the street, coming up and rushing them and this and that. But like I said, these brothers that nobody's factoring in, not even the court. The brothers have no criminal record, never been to state prison, never served time for nothing, never been convicted of anything. But they're successful businessmen. The system don't like to see black and brown people prosper. So what I'm saying is, take the two brothers out of the equation. It could have been two other black successful men. They don't want black and brown people to be successful and to thrive. They want to keep us down and oppressed. So I believe, from what I've read and from when I talked to the district attorney's office, I believe that the police targeted these brothers and got them for that crime to get them off the street. She just said it. Their music entertainment could bring the whole city out. Black people, celebrities and millionaires, in the last 5 years, going back to even Bill Cosby, there's an onslaught of attack against successful black men in entertainment, sports, movies, music. They're taking down millionaires and billionaires, but look at them, they're all black. Yep. These brothers could have been the paradigm shift for Yonkers, and police departments filled with rogue officers, filled with a lot of racist cops, don't want to see the success of these brothers because they base everything on a danger environment. These brothers wasn't dangerous. These brothers was entertaining people. People was having fun. There was never even no fights or shootings at the events.
Uplifting, building.
So they bring in peace to the community. Not all police departments want peace. Not all people want peace. Because if you got peace, you don't need jails. If there's no violence, you don't need jails. You don't need courts. Their jobs are in jeopardy. I believe those brothers was targeted because they were successful and they're a big influence on the Yonkers community and abroad. And so they want to stop that because the police want gang members. The police want shootings. The police want crime because it helps their agenda. These brothers was targeted. And that's what I believe, and that's what we're going to fight it on. We're going to meet with them in White Plains, and we're going to get some justice for this case. We'll come to Yonkers, and I'll tell you, I could bring 1,000 people to Yonkers today, and we'll shut the streets down, we'll shut the bridges down, we'll shut the transportation down. We'll stop all the flow of commerce in Yonkers. We've done it in New York City, we've done it in other states. We don't want to have to do that.
but we're going to get some attention and justice for these brothers who have no criminal record. Why all of a sudden? These are successful men on their way to be stars and millionaires. Why would they throw their life away for a criminal, an admitted criminal? You understand, that brags on the video that he's all in the crime, that was killed 2 weeks ago in the Bronx on White Plain Roads in a fight and got stabbed with a knife. He has a whole history of that. We're not going to let these brothers go down for this guy.
Well, Donald, I don't know if I agreed with everything that you said, you know, because it's hard for me to comprehend that the police department has something against successful black people. We have a lot of young black people in Yonkers, in the music industry, that have very good relationships with the city hall, police department, and community. Right here in Yonkers, right here on Napperham. Jada Keys, Styles P, and many others that are exemplary individuals here in the community. I'm trying to find out one reason why your sons would be excluded. Why would they target them?
Because again, they try to uplift and build.
Oh. Why do they target Fred Hampton? Why do they target Huey P. Newton? Why? Why do they target them? Why do they target the Black Panthers who were doing community services, feeding the kids before they go to school, after school program, feeding the community, taking care of the community, keeping crime down in the community? These are the people they target, people that help their community, people that have influence. So answer the question, why do they target Fred Hampton? Murdered him in his bed and shoots up his tombstone every year at the graveyard. Once a year, the police go there and shoot it up. You can see it every year. On a certain day, they go there and shoot his tombstone. The bullet holes are still there every year.
The police.
The police. You could go, Fred Hampton. Killed him in his bed, sleep, 3 o'clock in the morning. His hands are up in the air, they still shoot him. They went to murder him. Why did they target him? What crime did Fred Hampton commit? None. What crime did Huey P. Newton commit? None. What time did the Black Panthers? None. So I'm black. I'm in this black skin. And can't nobody tell me they don't target us for various reasons. And I believe these brothers were targeted. Nobody has to believe that. That's my belief, because I am a victim like them, and I'm black in this skin like them. Nothing in America has been favorable to the black people ever in the history of America, though we built this nation. Everybody is in this nation by the grace of the blood, sweat, and tears of black people and other people that was already here that refused to be slaves for them. The Latino population refused to be slaves, hence why they killed them off. Black people were slaves for them, forced into it. We didn't fight back until years and years later. So we are targets, and I believe these brothers was a target. Nothing is going to change me from that. It has to be a reason that you went after two successful brothers who have no stains on their record. You named some other artists just now that have arrest records. See? You named some artists that work with the police that have arrest records. They had none.
I didn't say work with the police. I said they have a relationship.
I'm talking about community work. Community. Yes. I'm not talking about snitching or nothing like that. No. I'm talking about community work. And so you're talking to a convicted murderer. Me. I served 35 years in this state for killing a Caucasian man. That's why I served 35 years in the state, okay? You got people killing black people that don't serve 1 day in jail, okay? Daniel Penny. We covered that trial. Choked Jordan Neely to death. A homeless skinny man sick on the train in New York City. We covered the entire trial. Guess what? White racist people raised $4 million for this murderer. He's rich now for killing a black homeless mentally ill person on the train, Jordan Neely. We covered the whole thing. So we are targets. We're always going to be targets, someone who's in black skin. And I believe these brothers was targets because they have no criminal. You a judge, you a creature. We are creatures by habit. They're not criminals. This is the only stain on them is this conviction for somebody that checked himself out the hospital the next day. It wasn't even a serious injury, because if it was, you couldn't check yourself out of the hospital the very next day. Ever since that day, that victim has been an arrest until he was killed 2 weeks ago in the Bronx. The brother's not the problem. The victim was the problem.
Now, go ahead.
And the victim, once again, I'm going to say this, the victim is the one that started the whole altercation. If I'm standing, like I was standing in front of the store this morning, I'm knocking on the door, but before that, I was standing there. this brother here, that's on the camera here, that works for you,
With me.
that works with you, he didn't open the door, yo, what are you doing standing here? Get away from my premises, because he don't own the sidewalk. See? He didn't
And
bother
even
me
if
at
he
all.
did, he wouldn't talk to
He
you
wouldn't.
that way.
Exactly. This guy came out, started the altercation, and threatened the brother. Nobody's talking about that. You have a right not to be threatened. So if a person threatened me, depending on how I feel at that time, he could have a gun or a knife. I'm going to react different. I'm going to knock his head off because you just threatened me. I don't even know you. So I have to defend myself. The police have taken the right for them brothers to have defended themselves from being attacked and threatened by this dude. And then when the altercations happen, allegedly a gunshot goes off, but no gun is ever found. No gun is ever found. The police is not even looking for the gun. And you don't need a gun for a conviction in New York. You don't even need a body for the conviction. Okay? But where's the gun? Why didn't the police question everybody in that dwelling? People look out the window when they hear altercations going on, especially black people, because we want to know what's going on. Okay? So nobody looked out the building. Nobody came about the one black woman. There's no record of her nowhere. But she was there with a black bag in her hand. The gun has disappeared. She lives in the building.
You know, normally, you know, they document everyone that comes down, and there is no documentation as far as you know, right?
The most important thing is that she came down with a bag in her hand, some kind of handbag, and she lived in the building, and the victim lived in the building. The brothers did not, and they weren't bothering anybody in the building. They was on a public sidewalk for public egress. Bothered nobody. The victim started this. And so he got the losing end of the fight, but they didn't shoot him.
Now, April, I spoke with your son, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? When you were on the phone with him and you merged the phone calls?
Yes, might have been 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks ago. How are they doing?
The situation is really, really not easy. They're headstrong, you know, they're positive because they know that God got them. You know, God sent us some people that's willing to fight for them, and we got people to help us out now, versus we were just silenced the whole process. Their condition inside the prison, not good at all. The prison is on lockdown right now. 24, they can't move around. My one son just received his tablet. The other son had his tablet. We can hear from him around the clock. But the other son just got his tablet. It'd be like 2 weeks and I don't speak to my son. Meantime, they have children that they have to raise, so they're not doing good. They want to get home to their families. They want to start our lives over. They want a chance, a fair chance. That's what they want.
So, guys, let me take this opportunity to make it clear that those who are watching us understand that personally, Yonkers Voice LLC don't take sides. We are just a platform who allows people of Yonkers and around to come on and talk about the issues that they feel are important, issues that they feel that needs to be exposed, that the issues that they want other people to hear about. And that's why you are invited to be here to explain to us. And don't forget, guys, where are we today? Dos Marias 200 New Main Street in Yonkers. This is the home of the best Mexican food, not just in Yonkers, but the entire Westchester County and possibly New York State. If you have not been here, come on down and try it out. Donald, going forward, we know the problem, we know the issue. What is the resolve? What is the solution? What are you looking for? What's next?
We're looking for a fair process. A judicial fair process, which has been invisible to black and brown people born in America. It's just been invisible. So we're just looking for, the Constitution is a beautiful written document, the federal one and the state one. Those are just words printed on paper. If it's not enforced, then it's useless. It's a useless document. Okay, we want justice, and we want a fact-finding hearing, and we want a meeting with the district attorney office, whether the one that prosecuted this case is there or not. It's the office
Mimi
itself.
Roque is no longer there, yes.
Right, it's the office itself, and we want to be heard. We want him to hear our complaints, and we want them to take the complaints serious, and we want them to reopen this investigation. And we want them to track down the female that came out with the bag. We can't track down the victim because he's dead. Okay, 2 weeks ago in the Bronx on White Plains Road. And so we just want to be heard. We want a fair process. And after we go through all the fairness of what justice encompasses, and we determine, and if the conclusion comes out that they did the shooting, then they did the shooting. But we have no proof. There's no evidence whatsoever that these brothers did the shooting. This is the most asinine conviction that I've ever seen. There's no, the police have no footage of even the fight. They have nothing but a car with, you couldn't even read the plates that good, but they traced that car from cameras, but they have nothing else. Why are these two brothers in jail?
Well, that's the question. We hope for the best. We hope District Attorney Kakase will respond, gives you guys a date where you can go and present your case and show you the evidence, and whatever the evidence leads you, then he leads you. And at the end of the day, I believe that's what you are asking for, right? To see what they have, and whatever that brings you, whatever conclusion that brings you, it brings you. Am I understanding this correct?
You're understanding it correct, but I said the most important word of that is fair. See? It must be a fair process. We can go through the channels of meeting them and going, but if it's not a fair process, meaning truth, and they're going to be real about opening an investigation, if it's not that, it's a sham.
Well, that's
we
what
want
I mean.
The fair process.
You want an investigation.
Right.
You want to see what they have and come to a fair conclusion of what actually happened.
We believe that with what they have was enough to acquit them. Yet it convicted them. And it convicted them because they had a jury composed of one black person and everybody else a different ethnic background, Caucasian.
Not a peer?
That's not a peer. See, they are big on the word peers. You were tried by a jury of your peers. Nobody on that juror was the peers to her brother. Your peers, I'm your peer. I'm her peer. I'm her peer. We socialize. They are not her peers. My peers, we have associations with them. See, they play games with that word. That's not our peers. That's just so they could do, we convicted them with a jury, and we have to respect the jury verdict. Okay, you didn't respect the jury verdict for O.J. Simpson, who said he didn't commit the murder of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson, right? He was called a murderer for the rest of his life, though he was acquitted. Then they sued him in court. Then they put him in jail for taking back property that was stolen from him, and never arrested the people that stole his property, but put him in jail for taking his property back. This is what we're up against.
So your problem is with the system.
My problem is with America.
America.
I hate America.
Judicial system.
I hate America, and I'm not ashamed to say that.
Well,
I hate America personally because America has never shown love to me or my people. I'm never going to love somebody that oppresses and harms my people for generations and decades and decades and decades with no let up. I hate America. I celebrate nothing America, no holidays and none of that. I hate America. They know it. It's nothing for me to love America about.
I have to disagree. I love America.
Well, you can.
I love the country.
You can.
Okay. I don't love certain things that I see happening. I don't love the injustice that I see happening. I would wish we lived in a system where every man is seen as equal and decisions are made based on the character of the person and not based on the color of the person.
Martin Luther King, good words.
But I love the country.
Good word. You can love the country, but see, you have that right, just like I have the right
Correct.
not to like it. Because I'm the victim of them. My people are the victim. We've been the victim for 6 centuries in this nation. And it's not getting better for us. It only gets worse. Every day you can turn the news on somewhere and some black or brown person is being victimized by the system, whether it's the police, whether it's a correction officer, whether it's a security guard, and nobody is being punished. We are tired. These brothers should not be in jail. They are assets to this community as opposed to a negative. They're not talking about that. They don't care about that. They not care about that. Justice, everybody say justice. Well, you do a crime, you get punished for it. Wait a minute. I went to school too. I have a doctorate degree. Justice also encompasses mercy and compassion for those that have went afoul of the law. And when they are punished, they're supposed to be treated like decent human beings. And they're not supposed to be framed and set up and sit on wrongful convictions. We have 300 years documented of wrongful convictions of black and brown people. God bless his soul, because I'm part Cherokee. Leonard Peltier sat in federal prison till he's in his 80s now for a crime he never did. And they had the evidence that he never did it. We've been fighting for Leonard Peltier, the Native American, to be released even while I was in prison for 35 years. And he's just getting out now after 80-some years for a crime he never did. So my opinion is based on truth. And the truth is based on the fact that we've been impacted victims based on the color of our skin. People don't appreciate us in this nation, but we allowed and opened the door for everybody to come in this nation that can come here. We made that happen. We made that happen with blood, sweat, and tears. There were Spanish people in the protests with King and them. And before them, there were Native American. There were some Jewish people there. There was a lot of Christians there. But we made that happen. The door is open for everybody. But why does everybody come here and get treated better than us and we built this nation? I can't even get an apartment. I'm born and raised here. But people can come from another country today and have an apartment next week. I can't get it. And I'm born and raised here. And I pay into the system. Okay? We are tired of being targets. We are tired of being victims. These brothers do not belong incarcerated. They have no characteristics, traits of that. They have no records of that. While the victim that started this has a record of a history of incarcerations, bragging about it, and was killed 2 weeks ago in the Bronx, stabbed on White Plains Road in a violent altercation because that's what he was about.
Well, we have to conclude, okay? But I want you to make the closings, okay? People are watching. People will be watching this for today, next week, next month. What would you like the community to do? What can the community do? What would you like to, to see?
Community needs to like stand up, stick together. It starts with like even serving on the jury to make sure that things like this does not happen. We need more people of color in positive positions politically. We need them on the forces. We just need more to see our people. We need to see more our people stand up.
Donald, tell us a little bit about your organization. How can you be reached?
Unified Black Caucus, you could Google it. Just Google Unified Black Caucus, and I'm going to tell you that's the easiest way to get to everything we have. Twitch TV, Instagram, social media, podcasts, the organization, what it does. You can see photos of what we do nationwide. We have after-school programs. We service the community, feed the seniors, the elders. We do Harlem Hospital toys every year in December. The Director of Operations run that, Tonya, sitting right there. And we fight for justice. We are the lead organizations that is leading the rallies at Marcy Correction Facility for Robert Brooks, the murder of Robert Brooks. We'll be in the town hall tomorrow in Ithaca. I'm the keynote speaker there. And we're going to fight for justice for those that face an injustice. And the thing about us is that you can go to our website and you can see that we don't discriminate against anybody. Everybody gets served, come through our lines, have black, Hispanics, Jewish, Muslim. You will see all that on our websites. In our after school programs, we have kids from every ethnic, diverse background, and they love us. They love us because we are loving people. And that's one of the problems about it. We are too passive. Blacks are the #1 passive people in America and the #1 forgiven, only to be turned around and stabbed in the back. We want Yonkers community. When we come up here to make rallies and protests, we don't precipitate and start violence. We come peaceful. But we're not going to take no truck from anybody. We know what the law is, and we're not going to be harassed by police, guards, or anybody because we know what the law is. We have lawyers with us at these rallies, so we know what the law is. We know what to do and what not to do. But when you're fighting for justice and you're highlighting and exposing corruption, they like to come and be heavy-handed. Oh, step over there, step 4 feet over there. It's nonsense. We don't tolerate that. We're not going to tolerate it. We want the Yonkers community to stand with this mother, stand with anybody that has faced injustice in this city, Yonkers, and come out and stand so that we could fight and get this way it's supposed to be. Corruption is all over. You can't tell me that the police department and the judicial system in Yonkers is not just as corrupt as any other. In New York City, in California, in New Orleans, in South Carolina, they're all corrupt.
Thank you, April. Thank you, Donald, for taking the time to come and articulate your issues, talk to the community, let them know what's going on, let them know about the situation, and I hope for the best of your sons. And when you talk to them, please give them my regards. As I was talking to your son the other day, he mentioned that we have spoken on the street a few times. So tell me I wish him well.
Thank you so much.
We thank you,
Thank you very
for
much.
giving us that opportunity in the format. We really thank you. You're a good reporter. You ask the right questions. You ask the right questions that make a person's tone go up. So the audience must understand that he's media. And so media is supposed to ask these questions. He's not saying the brothers are innocent. He's not saying he's guilty. He's asking questions to trigger responses to satisfy everybody that's listening here. And so he's not on any side. And he's actually friends with her sons. But he have to do truth and reporting, just like we need truth and justice.
Thank you for understanding my job, Donald. Thank you.
Hold on, one more thing. I'd like to give out a shout out to Universal Flavors. They made my shirt here today for my sons, free pesos, free ski. I'd like to thank you for having me on your platform, Mr. Rue. I'd like to thank you, Mr.
What did
Curtis.
you say? What did you say? What did you say my name was?
Mr. Rue?
Rue.
Can we agree to something in the beginning?
Rue.
I'm sorry, Rue.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rue. Thank you, Mr. Curtis, for having, advocating, being the lead advocate on my case. Today, it could be me. Tomorrow, it could be you. Everybody step up. Everybody stay blessed. We got to stick together.
Before we go off, what's the organization that gave you the shirt, and where are they, and how can people follow?
Okay, Universal Flavors is the name. I follow her on Instagram. She came all the way here to give me my shirt this AM. I appreciate Miss Tonya. Thank you.
Guys, as I always say, actions, not words. Let's support with actions. Let's check them out, follow. If there is business that we can give them, give them. Let's do things, not just talk about doing things. It's a big difference. Thank you for watching, and until next time.